Vanessa from Crafty Gemini Creates, and I'm here with a quick crafty project that I think you'll enjoy, especially if you like to read books. We are going to be working on this really simple fabric bookmark that has elastic. So if you're like me, I hate when the bookmarks fall out of the books, and whether the book drops or you throw it anywhere that you want, you can throw it in your bag to take on the airplane. It's not going to go anywhere because the elastic holds it snug in place, all right? So here's what we're going to need. We are working with these really cute and fun bright colored fabrics. This is called Blueberry Park. It's by Robert Kaufman, and I'm going to be using the 10-inch by 10-inch squares. And then we're going to need some Peltex. This is the non-fusible type. It's a really rigid and kind of stiff interfacing. Use a lot in bags, or I use it also to make fabric postcards and things. And I think it just gives it a nice good stiffness that the batting, something like batting, won't give you, okay? So we're going to cut out 2 strips to create the bookmark that measure 2.5 inches by 7 inches, like these ones here. 2.5 by 7, okay? And once you learn the techniques of how to put this little bookmark together, you can customize it. I'm using just the straight solid print of the fabric because I really like the prints, but you can use up even smaller scraps, do some patchwork techniques. If you have an embroidery machine, you can embroider somebody's name or monogram. You can really customize these and make them any way you want to give as gifts, okay? So we have our 2 strips. Then you're gonna head over to your ironing board, and I want you to press under the edges about 3/8 of an inch or 1/2 of an inch, something like that is fine. And you're gonna flip the ends, the short ends only, under towards the wrong side of the fabric like I've done here, okay? And this is a good tip because when you're flipping something right side out, if you've turned under the seam allowance already, it makes it a lot easier for you. Then we're gonna take one and lay it with pretty sides of the fabric touching one on top of the other. You can put a pin or a clip, and we're going to stitch it down using 1/4 of an inch seam allowance just along both long sides. So you should leave openings on both of the short sides. And let me head over to the sewing machine and stitch that up to show you. All right. And take a few back stitches at the beginning and at the ends because you have to flip this right side out and you don't want it to come apart on you. All right. So once you have it like that, you can see that because we turned it under, that seam allowance is already out of our way. So we're going to get nice clean folds when we turn it right side out. Now to do this, you can use a few different things. I've designed it so that it's only 6.5 inches or so, I guess 6 inches, since we turned under 1/2 an inch on each end. And so it's just long enough that you can flip it out without having to use a bodkin or a tube turn or anything. I kind of just like load it up onto my thumb finger here and then grab the fabric and then slowly work it under and through there, okay, because it's not that long, so it shouldn't give you too many problems. Once you flip it right side out, head back over to the ironing board, and we're going to give it a good press so that the seam is going down the sides. And if you wanted to go for a different look, you can even press it this way, okay, so you have kind of like that striped look. But I'm going to keep it flat. Press down those seam allowances, and I starch my fabric really well before I cut it out. You can, but you don't really have to. Just make sure you give it a good press after. All right, so that's done. And I have another sample here to show you. Look at these gorgeous fabrics. I love this collection. After that's done, you are going to cut your strip of Peltex so that it's just a little bit narrower, enough to fit in here. This one measures about 1.5 inches wide, and you can see that it's shorter. It's about 5 3/4 inches. You don't want the Peltex to come all the way to the bottom edge because when we top stitch, we don't want to look there and see that there's any of the white of the stabilizer. So just eyeball it, trim it down a little bit to size. Next thing you're going to do is just slip it in there. Okay, there it is, and that's going to give us a nice stiffness that we need. And then your next step is to cut out your fold over elastic. That's what we're going to be using. They come in some really great colors. And remember that we always include a link in the description box below where you can click and find the fabrics, the fold over elastic, the stabilizer. All the supplies I use to create these projects are included in that link there for you. So I think for this one, I'm going to add this pop of this hot pink. They have some really cool teal colors, kind of like a gray silver. But these go great. I really like this color here. So to measure this out, It's going to vary, right? Depending on the size book that you want to use it on. I have tried this on several different books. You can see this one here is kind of a larger book, or it's about the size of maybe most of the paperback books out there. And you can see that this fits in nicely in this book here. Now, if you're using a smaller paperback, you may want to go shorter on the elastic. If it's for a really large book, then go bigger. But I did want to show you that with these measurements, look how much this stretches. So stretch it out, kind of eyeball it. You can even put a pin there or a clip and then stretch it over the book just to get an idea and see how big you need to adjust it to. But if you cut a strip to 10.5 inches in length, you'll end up with something that stretches as much as these, okay? So let's measure this one out and cut ourselves. Oop. This way, 10.5 right here. All right, so we have our 10.5 inch strip already cut. And all you're gonna do is tuck it in. We've already turned the edges under before we even sewed it up, so it's all nice and clean right there for you. And you're just gonna tuck it in the middle. It doesn't have to go, it can be over the Peltex, under the Peltex, it doesn't matter. It's all gonna get stitched in there. So just slip it in, and you wanna put it in there maybe, I would say a little bit bigger than 1/4 inch. You don't want the tugging on it to kind of pull it or shred the elastic enough that it'll come out. So 3/8 inch, 1/2 inch, something like that would work fine. Just gonna put a clip right here, and then you're gonna swing it around, make sure you have no twists in the elastic, and bring it to the other side, insert it in the center there, and put another clip. Now let's head over to the sewing machine, and all we're gonna do is top stitch really close to this opening right here, and back stitch at the beginning and ends, and you'll repeat it to the other side. Make sure that you're pulling the elastic out of the way so it doesn't get caught in your stitches, the loop of it. And it gets a little trickier on the other end as well. You want to make sure to keep the bulk of the elastic out of the way. Right here, I'm going to pull this back, make sure I'm not catching it. All right, so our little fabric bookmark is complete, and remember that it's reversible, so feel free to make it out of scraps. You can even get kids to help you make this project so they can have their own bookmarks to kind of encourage them to read more books, and make these as gifts. You can use them for yourself or as gifts, and they use up really small amounts of fabric and supplies, so I think you definitely will start making tons of these. If you enjoyed this video tutorial, make sure to hit it with the thumbs up below, share it across the different social media sites, and give the project a try. When you do, take some pictures and upload them to our Facebook page, Crafty Gemini Creates, because I'd love to see what you're making from my tutorials. Thanks again for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.